Hi everybody, this is Evelyn. Lots of stuff to bring up today. I have 2 of my 4 deck reads, one you see on the table here, as well as just some topics to bring up because they keep coming up. And before I forget, yesterday in 11/11, when I went to take Teddy out back, I was on the deck and literally the ground was shaking. Like I could feel the deck moving, and there's no reason for my deck to move. So I was feeling the deck move, which means the ground, there's vibrations in the ground. Okay, so earthquakes were coming up regarding that. And again, it's 11:44 on the clock now, which happens to be my soul number is 3811. My life lesson number is 44/8. So there's a lot of other energies that were coming up too. The ruby keeps coming up. So as soon as I brought up Burma, the ruby kept coming up, and it came up again today as well. They wanted me to review really quickly before I get into the reads. Also, I had brought up Ethiopia and the kings there, as well as the kings in Burma. And again, Iraq's coming up as well because of the arguments of where the origins were around the 2 rivers, Iraq or Ethiopia. But again, the land may have been as one back then. Because of the earthquakes and the shifting of the tectonic plates, there were new oceans created, which came up through one of the cracks in Iraq, or cracks in Ethiopia rather, which may cause a new sea, but perhaps a million years from now. I'm not sure exactly what the timeline was. I forget what they said. But so again, in Ethiopia, King Izana came up, which also, there's multiple names. One of them is Aizan because Asians came up, which is Burma. But here's Asian, a name like Azana, the same king, that sounds like Asian. So it definitely was bringing me back to Ethiopia and the challenge between Ethiopia and Iraq, the crack in the tectonic plates that's going on now, again, taking us back to way back when, right, with the Ark of the Covenant and who it actually belongs to when the land was one back then. The symbol for Aksum period in Ethiopia was a half rising sun, but also like a U with a circle in the middle of the U. And Aksum was the first Christian king in the 4th century Ethiopia. But Queen of Sheba was coming up along with King Solomon because their child was the first first Jewish king, and that was back in 950 before Christ. So again, they don't know for sure about Queen of Sheba because the timelines don't necessarily fit with her story. But she was supposed to have married King Solomon, and actually did she marry King Solomon? And but anyway, their son was Emperor Menelik the First, Emperor Menelik, which was the first Jewish emperor of Ethiopia. So again, that was 950 before Christ, and then the 4th century after Christ was the Aksum period. And Saba keeps coming up as well, Saba, different names for the area. And by the way, I called my father Saba, so that was interesting. So again, Burma came up with the Asian influence over there, which also the Burma rubies coming up. Also, HUD was coming up. So human resources and housing exchange, things like that, resourcing from the government. And again, I brought up that the Singapore company had said that they were going to withdraw from Burma because of the war issues and not feeding into giving the military the gas over there. So Singapore also came up again yesterday. But again, human resources was significant. Okay, so let's get right into this first read. I'll get you my picks, and we'll take a few deep breaths as well. We're going to roll the die too. And again, rocks were coming up significantly yesterday too. I did Jen McCarty's meditation, which was great. There was a twin flame marriage during the meditation, which was amazing. My third eye was really open during that meditation. Give me 1 second. Nope, there it is. Okay. So this is the first read, which I'll show you the second read when we get there. So for those of you not familiar, the underlying energy is on the left. There's 3 cards for each deck: the Journey of Love, the Metatron deck, the Nature's Whispers, and Shaman Dreams. And then at the end, there's a pile of cards that I'm always guided to count. I'm very into numerology since my 20s. And then here you see the pile split up into several sections. So there's sections of the number as well that came up, and the cards. And all of those energies go into my read. Okay, so there's your first read. Let's go ahead and take a few deep breaths. Go ahead, take a deep breath. Queen of Sheba is coming up. Take another deep breath. One more deep breath. Sending lots of love and blessings out to everybody. Happy birthday to my friend Luz. I hope you're having a wonderful day. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a sunny day, and the sun just came out for you guys, and I just saw a birdie fly onto the tree, and he's looking right at me right now. They're so cute. Thank you so much for being here with me. And let's get right into this first read. I'm going to roll the die. So again, the read on the table is the read number 2 for Twin Flames. What is going on today? November 12th, 2022. Okay, we have the Sun. Okay, so again, the 0 point and the Sun, Leo, as well as the number 6 here, which is also Gemini, June. So Gemini, June also goes into Cancer. 6 is also the Lovers, which is Gemini. And then we have Leo here again. So a lot of Leo energy here, and Gemini, perhaps Cancer too. Leo is surrounding Gemini or the twins. And again, I'm getting the sun gods. So the gods coming up, the kings. All right, so that's the other thing I wanted to get into. Michael Sala's video, if you haven't watched it, watch his last video on the Tree of Life and the kings they're finding. Again, for those of you not aware, there's an arc at the bottom of the Bermuda Triangle that is basically a city down there that's been activated. And this seems to me as a grounding effect to the Confederation ship coming in by Jupiter. There are, JP knows about 9 arcs around the world. We know these kings are being found too, like Anunnaki stasis kings, one in caverns, one below Florida, Iraq, Brazil, I think they said China as well, and not sure if, I assume England is, but I know apparently England was trying to steal the seeds from these sites. So there's a Tree of Life with this king under Florida in a cavern. And they stole the seeds that were buried there with the king and the Tree of Life for plants, but also semen was taken. But the military got the seeds back from them. Apparently there were 2 people who stole them to go over to England to get them to the kingdom over there. And the military was able to retrieve those 2. And one was an ET, one was not. So anyway, watch the whole video on that. There's some really good information. And again, the arcs activating, they're saying, are causing atmospheric changes and things like that when they heat up. So that could be a reason for our temperature, for the reason that there's any rioting. Again, the energy of heating up. JP was talking about Brazil and the issues going on down there. So for this first read, The Journey of Love, Metatron, Nature's Whispers, and Shaman Dreams, this was done at 8 p.m. on the 10th. This number 2 on the table was done yesterday. And the numbers of the piles at the end were one card, 2 cards, and then 4 cards. But then after the 4 cards, why did I write 4? Actually 1, 2, and then 3 cards came up. Oh, this is just from the Journey of Love deck. 4 cards, so 1, 2, and 3 cards, and then 4 cards came up. So there were 3 cards initially, and then 4 more came up, so 7. The second deck was 5 cards. Then 3 cards, and then 4 or 7 cards. And then again, that's just referencing my 4 to 7 sweet spot, also the heart to the crown. So 4 to 7 originally came up from the numbers, where 4 to 7 is the sweet spot, just airing to the side of the light, or the alkaline as opposed to acidity as well in the body. But here was coming up as 4 to 7, again, the heart to the crown, which has been coming up this week. And again, the 4, 5, 2, 3, again representing a spiral of 4 going up to 5, back down to 2, and up to 3 again. There's this energy of 1, 1, 2 on either side of 4, 1, 4 coming up here. 1, 2, 3 jump from 4 to 7 was coming up here. And the purging of the King of Wands. 1112 and 1121 was coming up. So literally the year 1112. And that somebody else brought that up yesterday, which was interesting too. I'd written this down the day before. So from 2012 to 2021, November to November, 1111 and 1111. And what they had said, and I can't remember who it was, that we haven't had this kind of 1111 energy since 2012, or actually 2011. But again, the 2012 year, right, of the beginning of the end, or end times, of the end of the 3D Earth. And then now we're past 1121, but also referencing today, which is 1112, and 1121 coming up as being significant. Purging the King of Wands. I was just getting the Queen of Sheba again with the Queen of Swords here. And Sheba, so Sophia isms are a thing now. So all of the 4-letter words with an S in front of them, like sword, are coming up as Sophia isms. So Sophia is literally her own ism, but also Sheba would then be an ism as S and then H-E-B-A. So let me look up H-E-B-A right now since that's coming up. H-E-B-A. So H-E-B-A is glamour. Look at that, Queen of Sheba. So glamour queen, and then EBA is a stiff dough made by soaking gari in hot water and kneading it with a baton. And mare, and to steal. Okay, so the mare, M-A-R-E, and yay, to steal. So glamour queen, to steal your heart away, perhaps, or knead with a baton, right? Hitting him over the head with a stick. That's really funny. And then we have B.A., which is a Bachelor of Arts. All right, so the queen who hits him over the head with a stick or steals his heart with a Bachelor of Arts, and then the A, which is half the light. And E and A were coming up with the different words yesterday too. One is EE and the other is EAA, which are coming up as the masculine and the feminine. And again, we have EBA then with the E and the A, which is also ash, the AE, which is ash or bright light in Pleiadian, with the B in the middle. And the capital B is the number 13, which is transition. So again, the transition portal between the masculine and the feminine is coming up with Queen Sheba. So very cool energies there. And again, the mare. So again, the horse energy of Mr. Ed and Mrs. Ed are coming up there. Very interesting. So any word you see with an S in front of it that's 5 letters altogether is a Sophia ism. And also Sophia means wisdom. So both Sophia and Sheba are Sophia isms. So the numbers that came up that I looked up real quick from Gematria were 4523 and 4527. 4523 was he ripped off my wings, but all of you held me down so that he could. So that's some thought to chew on. 4527, I shall deliver my people out from thy hand, and thou shalt know I am the Lord. At 817, which is strength in the 17 of dreams, the underlying energy is the 35 of the wounded warrior, and intimacy coming up there. The 48 of the walking away within to the void, which is also Vo, ID. Vo is creation and the human embodiment of source energy, which is the human. So the V of creation, the O of the human, and the ID, which is also the id or the ego. 47 is laughter here. The 4 to 7 from heart to crown is laughter coming out of the mouth and the third eye from synchronicities. The 20 then of the Feast of Plenty, which 20 is the judgment card, the wake-up call, the decision, perhaps an announcement or a literal call. To the Feast of Plenty, which is Thanksgiving, the wounded warrior finding intimacy in the void, walking away within with laughter and synchronicities, and a wake-up call to the Feast of Plenty. Remember your choices and your consequences, right? If you eat too much, you eat the wrong foods, there are always consequences to that. And remember, your thoughts are the biggest consequences, because how you perceive your belief system regarding those foods, that also affects how they affect you. The 8 of the dance, the 20 of the judgment call or the wake-up call, and the underlying energy of the 31, which here is the Christ flame, but the old way, right? The martyrdom of the Christ flame. Right, the pain, the suffering. And then the opposite number, 13, after 31, which is death and chaos, right, life and death, chaos and control. So there's, Maxwell Smart comes up with chaos and control, because those were the two spy agencies. And the gifts received with the 13 of death, whereas it was the martyrdom with the trauma of life. The death was a blessing after dealing with the trauma of war during life, of chaos and control, of life and death, of learning to ultimately allow and let go. The 1 of the heart fire, the spark of the divine masculine, the 39 of the Knight of Cups, in letting the feminine lead the way, as well as within himself, with a handle on the snake, but I was also getting the handler, right? The feminine already has a handle on the snake, or the Kundalini rising. The 8 of the dance with the yin-yang lover, the divine feminine bending over backwards just to stand in the cyclone alone, offering herself, but will others join her there? The 29 of the spiral dance of the goddess in the present moment, being present to gifts of the 66, or the Queen of Pentacles, the Golden Gate. In coming together, remember that the 66 isn't just the Queen of Pentacles, it adds up to 3, which is that Christ vibration of the 369 or the 333. The 66 is the 3, whereas the 33 is the 6, and the 99 is the 9. So coming together at the Golden Gate, spiraling within the heart, with the weight of the cosmic butterfly and the surrender of the wounded warrior to intimacy with the other. So remember, with the W is the rolling stone, right? It's the WE3M. So the wounded warrior WW is this in the same category with the MM of the Mary Magdalene. So they always come up as Jesus and the Mary Magdalene, the WW and the MM, which are polarized to each other, along with the 3 and the E of the Trinity and the E of the one equal and congruent to, standing next to the other. The E is also the feminine energy to the masculine 3, right? The Eve to the Christ or Jesus type of energy, or the Mary Magdalene. So the wounded warrior to the intimacy with the other. At 8:29 is the dance of the present moment, the 3 of Wands, and the seed of the heart. So here comes up the seed, again regarding the Arks and having stolen the seeds from Florida to take them to England, but they got them back to get them to Iraq, where there's another king that's supposedly just as, another Anu king that's just as important as the king in stasis in Florida. So the seed of the heart, and I know that, so I'm very connected to this energy. There's something that came up in my meditation marriage of the twins yesterday regarding the seeding and how I'm connected. And also, I tell you about my ants all the time, and the Arks in the Bermuda Triangle. JP talks about the ant people there. So there's a connection to why I was telling you about the ants and how my ants were hanging out with me at the sink and they were protecting me. So again, there would only be a few ants at a time. You know, sometimes they might get up to 5, and maybe once a year that maybe, you know, there was maybe like 10 or 15 ants that would come in and I'd have to take them all out again. But again, my connection with the ants is, again, the connection to the seeding here. The Knight of Wands was coming up here as the seed of the heart, which is coming up on this card as the question mark, right? The wonder in your heart. The what if, then is. And again, the energy of the theory of relativity, right? So if this, then that. The question of the seed of the heart, also coming up with the Knight of Wands in the SIRIAN Starseed deck, is the one with the slow burn. He's learned how to control his passions to slow it down. And I'm also, as soon as the seeds started coming up, I got a seed growing kit, you know, one of those little indoor plant growers. And I have these little baby plants that are so cute. They're like my new babies. And it was so funny because my daughter was sending the picture to her friend down in Georgia, her old roommate, who he loved plants. And he was like, oh my God, they're so cute. So there's that energy of the cedars as well here. Is the question mark. Remember that inspiration is to breathe in. The 65 of the King of Pentacles. And the question mark is also referencing, for me, Mark, my kid's dad is Mark, but also his son is Mark. So that's coming up as well as the X marks the spot. The 65, and again, the seeding has to do with your lineage, your DNA. The 65 of the King of Pentacles, and the breaking in the smashing together, so again referencing the organic way of what CERN is trying to do under the Alps, of the divine feminine bending over backwards, falling, as the divine masculine jumps in. So again, there's that reference again of doing the same but the opposite at the same time, which is falling and jumping. It's the same. It's just a different perspective. So the feminine bending over backward, falling, as the divine masculine jumps right in. Two come together in a field of one, right? It's usually the field of possibilities, the field of oneness, never nearing the end of infinite possibilities, or beginning all at once. So never nearing the end or beginning all at once. The 15, because we all know that the end is the beginning. The 15 of the devil, as the devilish mother prays, and again the mantis beings are coming up here in this card. She's in very high vibrational colors of the purples and blues and whites, but she's also a mantis being, right? And we all know the praying mantis, here the mother prays, bites his head off after sex, right? So the devil is the mother prays, and I have met a mantis being as well before, and although they were definitely benevolent, they were more of a harsh energy there, very strong. So maybe one of the arcs will be protected by mantis beings as opposed to ant beings. So again, it's like the bugs are coming in. The bug invasion are these ETs coming in to protect the kings. The devil as the mother prays before biting their head off. 4 cards here, 1, 1, and 2, where the 2 is within nothing there is everything. The 22 of loving all that is the divine feminine with an open heart and a leap of faith to hold space. The 26 of the Page of Wands, and the guardian of the soul family, as we're just talking about guardians of the Ark, your soul family, the Anunnaki, which is everyone's soul family, the little one, the guardian of the soul family, right? The youngest member. The 45 of the grieving card, and the hidden beauty, perhaps unseen at the time. 1 + 1 and equaling 222 as the lion's heart purges the little one. So again, grieving the children who now are guarding their ancestors. So again, the ETs who are guarding their ancestors, and the actual people now who, you're the littlest ones, you're the youngest ones of the generations, now taking care of your ancestors, the kings. So at 8:38, I'm getting something from Kings in the Bible too, if any of you were guided to that. This is a significant message. 8:38 is the dance of the 38 of the Queen of Cups. So again, I'm getting the Queen of Sheba coming up here. The 12 of the Hanging Man and the Akashic Records and opening a book. The 50 of signs of your synchronicities and the birds, which I brought up at the beginning of this. So they're also watchers. Oh, that's what I also wanted to tell you. I've noticed that Teddy, my daughter's dog, has been strategically placing his toys. He's got a lot of toys, but he's been strategically placing them around the kitchen. And I kicked them out of the way yesterday when I was cooking at the stove. I was pushing his toys, to the other side so they wouldn't be in my way while I was cooking. And he put them right back where they were, and he looked at me like, he's like, "Are you kidding me? That's where I'm placing them." So it's like he's protecting his energy around me to protect me, and he does that around each room. And he actually placed his most significant toys, the one that hold other things, like little houses or something like that, because there's two different things. He puts under this one plant that has leaves that bend over, and he often goes over there and stands under the plant to take its energy. So it's very interesting how he's placing his energy around the house as for protection. So pay attention to your animals, see what they're doing. So detach from the drama to look up, King of Cups, the 37 here, and the 21 of the Indigo, who's looking up and seeing a star. The 15, again, of the Shadow, with clarity on the shadow in the diamond light. So again, referencing showering in the diamond light to get clarity on the shadow, what you haven't seen before and now seeing. The 48 of walking away within to the void for rest and pause at Om with crown, or home with roof. That's safety mechanism. So if you're at home with a roof, you're well protected. If you're at Om with your crown open or closed, you are protected. So again, it's talking about you controlling your crown, whether it's open or closed. Because during the ceremony with Jen yesterday too, we also put the cover over the Gaza pyramid, which came up in a definition that I brought up on the last read about a cover over something explosive underneath an island. And island, that word was also significant. And that'll come up in my other reads today too. All right, so because there's an open book here at 8:42 now, with the dance of the Two of Cups, or the partners, I opened the Metatron book that explains the Metatron deck, because I don't usually read from there. I use my intuition for my reads. I opened the Metatron book to page 55, which, by the way, yesterday, my numbers were, so my yearly number yesterday was 33, my monthly 44, which is my business, 3344, and the day yesterday for me, 11/11, was 55. So very significant about the truth of, I guess, my business or my message, but it was all synchronized yesterday in 11/11 of 33, 44, 55. Very significant there. So I opened up this page to 55, which also had page 54 with a picture of this on there. 54 is the Page of Swords. 55 is the Ace of Swords. So the truth coming up here, and the Mercurial Messenger, the energy of Mercury, which comes up as the ether going to Eden, which is vapor, which is the human breath. And the Dragonfire Strength is the card that came up here. This is quoting from the book, one of the most powerful allies in this deck. Roars into your life, giving you strength, courage, and fortification. And again, I was immediately getting Teddy, the dog. Safeguards you and the home from negative energies, clears your energy, and removes danger. He is able to see all from his skyline position, and I always tell you about Teddy looking out my front window, and I live up on a hill. So he's got a very good strategic point to look from, up on the hill down to the street. So able to see all from his skyline position, including that which, and I was getting as a witch, is behind you. Pyramid with Metatron's orange flame. So here again is the pyramid, as I just told you about the Egyptian pyramid, getting covered yesterday, getting the cap back. The pyramid with Metatron's orange flame, and a lot of the pictures I posted on Instagram had an orange flame to them. So there's Metatron's magnetic service basically coming up to show you that they're here. And remember, pyramid is the pyramid, the fire in your belly. The tetrahedron, or the four-sided pyramid, links to the solar plexus, the SP, to lift away fear in the core that makes you feel small. His strength mirrors your own. And again, the orange is the sacral chakra, basically giving support to the solar plexus here, that he reminds you to have fire in your belly, to speak up and be heard, and stand up for what you believe. Don't be afraid to fight for what is right and fair. Leave no space to be walked over, disregarded, or ignored. Instead, call your spiritual might and insight to tackle what needs facing with love, strength, and conviction. He stays as long as needed and is always your best always has your best interest at heart. So intimacy at Om. With the first card here, the 27 of Metatron's Rainbow Bridge, right after the Metatron card energy came up randomly, and this card was already put down. So Metatron came up in the message, and the very next card was first Intimacy at Om, and the first card was 27, the Metatron Rainbow Bridge, to spark your leap in the aqua rose gold mother's heart. So again, there's this energy of the solar plexus connecting with the heart as one, like a heart womb connection, with the sacral energy here of the orange as well. And again, the rose line was also coming up here with the aqua rose gold mother's heart, the rising of the heart, the mother's heart, to crash with the 6 of love here, with the 25 Knight of Wands, now with a slow burn. The Knight of Wands is very much that orange energy, but he's slowed his burn down to yellow and love of life, to fire up the mother, which is the rose heart. The lower 3 chakras and the upper 3 meeting in the green heart, the sweetheart, right, with the lion's heart from below, sparking them up. And again, that Page of Wands energy as the guardian of the family. So that fiery, and Teddy's a Cancer, but he's very Leo. So there's that Leo energy, Leo. And then the twin flames, love, family, and Gemini energy of the Page of Swords, the mercurial energy. So then at 8:56, the dance of the 2 of Swords, of being in your knowing and keeping your energy clear, or perhaps keeping yourself and pretending not to know, right? Very 2 different intents. But both are ultimately to keep peace of mind. The 35 of the Kundalini Wounded Warrior, clearing untapped energy, powering up alone. The 3 of the Divine Feminine, and the color white here of purification, and the 11 of the Clarion Call to listen for instant manifestation, calling the Blue Mother up to tell the truth as she holds space. Seriously aligned, Justice of the Presence to the 54 of the Page of Swords, which also is the Gemini and the Twin Flame energy, and the Lilac Castle on Cloud 9, in the purple moon 0-point field, where Mercury ether becomes Eden or vapor, in a message that becomes the air that you breathe as the human, right? So from Eden comes the Adam and Eve energy of the breathing of the feminine and the masculine. The 38 of the Queen of Cups powers up the light body to send it back to source then. So again, I've been telling you to breathe in, allow it to diffuse out into your body, but then the energy and your auric bodies, but then the energy goes back up to source to be transmuted by source. But literally going back up is also going to your other or yourself, your higher self. At 9:03 is the Hermit and the 3 of the Empress. And there's a lot of energies here. It's like the gathering of Thanksgiving. The Queen of Wands, Omega, or the Wild Child, is being called to be your best self always. That's that 24. With the JC, which also, the letters J and C reference the directed Taurus field, right? So the hourglass energy between the circles or the core of the apple, but with directional, right? So when you have a thorn in your side, it causes it movement. So it goes onto an angle as opposed to straight up and down. And JC is very much that moving Taurus field. Being gentle with yourself and partnering up with the Queen of Cups or the Queen of Sheba or the Sophia Isms to blush and inspire unconditional love. And again, here's coming up as the masculine as love and the feminine as wisdom or the light energy. So it's like there's been a switch, right? Where the feminine was always being referred to love and the masculine as the light. But he was at the root and she was at the heart. Now him at the heart and she at the crown. So again, reversing positions. So he was the intellect, right? The ego intellect at the root, where she was at the heart of the human. And now he's at the heart and she's now at the etheric crown of light now, as opposed to the intellect of the human. Or the Omega unity, along with the Queen of Cups and the King of Cups, inspired to bridge and come together. So again, the reference of the masculine and feminine coming into their heart space, both the heart and the high heart connected to the crown, coming together and lightening up to be lighter and acceptance of love as the Queen of Cups, to be childlike with the King of Cups in the ideal course of action to build it and they will come. The 43 of the coming together in joy as love matters. And there was a reference between matters and I'm trying to think of the word they used. Like matter being different than the body. Oh, it came up in my great-grandfather's book because there's a line that I have to read from there. So he brought them up as separate things, matter being separate from the body. So in coming together in joy as love matters, as the bird opens to the plane within, to touchdown of hand fasting and fool's leap of faith, the 4 to 7 from heart to crown, to laugh and play with synchronicities and heaven in your eyes that come up from your throat and your third eye between. And remember your third and fourth eyes all have to do with not just the eyes, but the ears, nose, and throat as well. The third and fourth eyes. And notice the dance between the 3 and the 4 of the Emperor and the Empress, and then the crowning achievement together. At 9:12 is the Hermit and the 12 of the Hanging Man, the 1 of the 32 journey in trusting yourself with sudden inner truths, the Atlas with their brain on fire and using their intuitions, that refers to the masculine, in the water like Esther Williams, sink or swim, and light up your inner Magdalene. 2 cards then came up, again sharing each. The 3 cards were sharing the 2 cards, so it was 3 and 1. Both sharing that third and first card. Soaking in the tub and being present to contemplation. What if? If this, then what? Or then that. Again, the relativity energy of if this, then that. The butterfly lioness looks up, realizing it could all really be true. The 12 of the Hanging Man and the wisdom of Sophia, the expansion of mountain to mountain in 8 balloons or 4 and 4 in a hand fasting with dear one who's grounded. He in his heart and she in her crown, and meeting in the middle with hands holding between the throat and the third eye is the nose, the knowing, the nose nosed to just breathe, inspire, and hold. and that was at 9:18, which happens to be my birthday. 9:18 is also the energy of the 369 of the 9, and 9 is 18, which is a 9 as well. So the underlying energy of the next deck was at 9:19, which is the Hermit and the Sun, as opposed to the Moon or the Purple Moon. The Sun now is the underlying energy with the long winter ahead, the one of the tidy house or the place by the beach, and the 63 of the 9 of Swords, which is usually the suffering and silence, the stress, trying to end the nightmare, of the winter's dream, the gestation period, and the 28 of the Twin Flames, hollow bone, to empty oneself, to become humbled, to be the student of life. The Moose with the 38, remember the Moose as opposed to the Elk, travel in twos as opposed to the group. 38 of the Queen of Cups with many masks of their authentic self, kind of like that multitasker, in a wake-up call to the Feast of Plenty or Thanksgiving, sharing choices and their consequences. And also Thanksgiving is the top dog of God. They both come up as those source energies. The capital T comes up as the top dog, and then the G for God, or the Ancient One, which comes up as gold, is the Ancient One. Sharing choices and their consequences here. At 9:22 is the Hermit and the 22 of the Fool and the Fool's Journey. The first card is the Root Girl of the 46, the 6 of Cups of the children hugging each other, loving each other. And the Root Girl is the stunted tree that never got growing, right? The base of the tree that's there, but it couldn't get it off the ground. The disowned self of the little child here, whether it's a girl or a boy, and the 53 of the curious stranger of the Knight of Swords with their truth to deliver, or the Knight in shining armor, which I'd written this also prior to the wedding yesterday in the meditation. The 12 of the Hanging Man and the Dragon's Hoard, protecting the future. So again, the masculine in their heart, holding on, whereas the mother holds space, he's holding on in the heart, right, to protect the 4 of Pentacles, basically, in the Batcave, protecting the future, right, saving, making sure that there's enough for the family to take care of them, at least for stability anyway, for survival in case of an emergency. And then the 9:24 is the Hermit and the 24 of Omega and the Queen of Wands again, with 3 and 4 cards now. Again, that 3 and 4 reference of the 3rd and 4th eye and the Emperor and the Empress, and the 34, the energetic exchange, and the 43 of the coming together, and the 10 of the deep diver here, diving right into a task, the 42 of the net caster, who then catches them, the 2 of Cups, the partner, the 32 of the journey and the journeyman, the 6 of Wands of the jeweled web, which jeweled translates to I, the child, and the web we weave here, diving into a task with, as preparations come to fruition, in the web of connectivity, perhaps deep diving in New Jersey. So I don't know why New Jersey was coming up there. New Jersey also references as capital letters. The capital N for me is the Christ vibration, then the J of Jesus. So instead of saying Jesus Christ, it's saying Christ Jesus. So instead of going from the human to the Christ energy, which was also coming up as Mary Magdalene last read, right? His Christ itself is his higher self, which is the Mary Magdalene. Here it's coming up the opposite way, as going from the Christ to the human. So again, deep diving. So instead of going up, right, to your higher self, going down to the Arks. Very interesting. But New Jersey is coming up here. And they just took me to the needle in Seattle. So maybe some other kings or arcs in New Jersey and Seattle. We have D again. So D net. This came up from the letters of the cards here. And then Deems came up as one of the Sophia Isms. D-E-E-E-M-S, so 3 E's. But it was broken down into D-E-E and then E-M-S. And here is bringing back that D of Deems, D-E-E, and the net, which translates to the den of the E-T, which I just told you was the cavern of the kings. The den also comes up as the dean, D-E-A-N, of the E-T, the den of the E-T, or the dean of the E-T. So again, the headmaster are these kings in stasis pods. the child or deuce, the children, the twins, to be enough to die, again the translations here were to carry, arrive, reach, to die, the tree of life in Florida, and the die of two, of the twins, the child net, I child of the web. So saying to you that you're the children of these kings' den, right? So here's the den. E's den is referencing, right, the divine feminine, the E tower, in the E den, which comes up as the Mary Magdalene den. So it's again the lineage of the mother. And this may be coming up through the kings in the pods here as the twin and the lineage not only of Jesus and Mary Magdalene, but of your ET lineage of the Anunnaki in a positive sense. The 4 energy here of the 51, 62, 55, and 57, and the Knight of Swords meditating on the bridge with the stars in the sky and the limitless possibilities, the treasures hidden in the shadows, of prison, the farther gate, a step away, the truth of the 2 gates and the suns, the silver and the gold gates. And you can check out Ascension Glossary if you want definitions for everything. The silver and the golden gates, she'll show you a picture in there. And the abominable snow monster came up here to hang the star. So again, there's something about, the cold winter again. The farther gate, a step away. The truth of 2 gates and the suns, or 2 suns. The silver and the gold gates, and the abominable snow monster to hang the star. And that's the Star of Bethlehem, right? He puts the star on the Christmas tree, which is the Star of Bethlehem. So again, where it's bringing up the winter triangle because people always assume that's Sirius. But the twin planets are Betelgeuse and Bellatrix, with the twins standing on Orion's shoulders. So it's talking about the triangle star of Sirius, and Betelgeuse is actually partnered with Procyon, which are the positive, it's like the protectors, right? The Procyons are the positive friends that you have around you. The twins are Betelgeuse partnered with Bellatrix, and then the third part of the triangle, which is Sirius. So the abominable snow monster to hang the star on the Christmas tree, the Star of Bethlehem, which comes up as the 2 twins, becoming nova stars, which then combined become that supernova Star of Bethlehem between the stars. The sun in the sky, but the light is always reflecting from the ground. So this also came up when I took some pictures yesterday morning and or the morning before. The sun was bright in the sky when it wasn't raining. Yesterday was raining, so maybe it was the day before. The day before that, the ground was glowing, and I take pictures of the sun all the time, and I don't remember noticing that. There was an aura around all the trees lining the ground, as if the sun was glowing from the ground up, when the sun was bright in the sky reflecting down. So this is new. It's not something I normally see. And again, the arcs heating up could be the reason for the glowing on the ground. A crack in the stone at Ethiopia was then coming up. The 57... Let me just give me 1 second. I want to write down the glowing ground. And the moving ground. So that could be the arcs as well. And I just talked about New Jersey. Oh, that's interesting too. Remember there was an earthquake a couple years ago? I can't remember what year it was. There was an earthquake in New Jersey, and I felt it. I woke up at 2 o'clock in the morning because it sounded like my bathroom was collapsing. And that was the earthquake at 2 a.m. when I found out the next morning. So there's a reference to that in New Jersey regarding the arcs. Too. Now I'm getting Long Island too, Plum Island. All right, so Plum Island is being a cover for a nuclear reactor. Very interesting, because that came up in the definition yesterday. All right, so silver and gold gates, the abominable snow monster, hanging the Star of Bethlehem, basically, as the twin flames. The crack in the stone in Ethiopia, which then I had to go and read about, right? There's a crack in Ethiopia where there will eventually, a long time from now, be a new sea because of this crack. But again, referencing earthquakes and the tectonic plates and how the arcs are affecting the tectonic plates, and anything like that can perhaps expedite the change of land masses, right? So I felt the earth shake on my deck yesterday morning, as well as I'm seeing lights coming up from the ground, not just in the reflection from the sky. The 57 of the Three of Swords in separation, the unmarked trail of revelations, of coming full circle. She'll be coming round the mountain when she comes. So then chintz came up, which is painted fabric or moth, regarding the way the cards translated here. So sits was coming up, which is a moth, and then WOTW. And what is that an acronym for? I looked it up, and the only thing I was getting there is dependent without excuse. But that sounds like an acronym for an expression, like what the F. So WOT, on the way. Look at that, you guys. W, on the way. The W is the two U's, are on the way. The moth sits as the two U's are on the way, dependent without excuse. The twin flame gate with UT, which can be Utah, but the U is the Holy Grail and the T is the top dog. With the doe, the letter C of the whispering bench, the flower and the sleep. And that's funny because I was looking at a flower pendant this morning. And the sleep or the gut. Also, one of the definitions was coming up as to get out. And right at that moment, Jenna had just taken Teddy out back, and I heard her at the back door saying, go out already. So sits was also, the only thing I found with WOTW was WOTW with an accent over the O, ISNOSC with another accent, which was referencing the dependence, but the dependence without accepting excuses, without having to have sex with, without having to learn about, without having to recognize them, being dependent on each other. So again, referencing the twins. And the unmarked trail, which is the unmark ED, which is Mr. Ed, or extra dimensional, and the T of the top dog, rail. The UN is also the United Nations, and the Holy Grail and the Christed energy, and the mark of the beast here is coming up as the horse of Mr. Ed, of the top dog, and their rail, their train. And again, the grail is God's rail, the 0 point field. So that mark, the mark is X marks the spot, which is 0 point. An unmarked T-rail or trail. Okay, so again, where it's an unmarked spot, learning the 0 point, right? It's like where no man has gone before, to 0 point field in this way that we're doing right now. So that's really cool. I should put down WOTW is the twins on the way. Okay, so that was the first read. So again, that energy in between here is, remember when I said the card with the wounded warrior, he's always got a bandage over his head, where the wounded warrior, the victim, allows that bandage to fall over his eyes to become blinded, whereas the opposite of that was coming up here, where the one with the blindfold on, like the Two of Swords or the Justice card, is where they lift it up over their head, more like to become that hairband or the crown then that holds the blanket, so to speak, that blankets over you, that blankets your crown, that keeps you safe. Okay. All right, so then the read on the table here. Did I show you that Ethiopia on my dog's butt? So there's a couple things that I posted on Instagram, a lot of pictures. So check out my Instagram, because when I comment on the picture posts, even if you don't see it in the picture, because sometimes they're hard to see, it depends on how your eyes are, what they're looking at. You know, are they looking at the dark, the white, because it changes your perspective. But it's learning to use your different perspectives. The ability is training your eyes to see in multiple perspectives at once. But also there's a message with it that comes up. So, so one of the messages that came up on the dog was not only the Ethiopian flag, but also Ava came up there. That's literally on my dog's fur, okay, with the two hearts around it. And for those of you who don't, the Ava came up in two ways. Again, my great niece who passed away recently. She was just a little baby, only 3 months old. And then also Ava was a kingdom in Burma that came up as well the other day. So again, the rubies coming up regarding, and today, this morning, ruby red slippers came up with Dorothy, because all of this goes around the Wizard of Oz and getting to Oz. Again, the wisdom and the Wicked Witch, and then getting to the wizard, just to find out there's no place like home in yourself, right? Oh, I'm in Spirit's connecting with me. So I want to show you, do I have a picture? I think I do. All right, so see if I can get one of the good pictures to show you here. So I'm doing a real close up on the dog here, and it looks more clear than that, you know, when it's not so close up. But you see the Ethiopian flag in my dog's butt. It's very clear. Okay, so there, and if you take it back a bit, maybe you can see it a little bit better. Okay, so there's the flag on his butt, and then you see the script here. There's script here, as well as a picture of a being here, right, in this circle. Maybe this one's a little easier to see. Here's one that's a little bit brighter. I was using different filters to see what would bring it out the best way. Here, let me get the light out of the way here, because it's reflecting too much. All right, so again, here, there's the flag up at the top there on the right, and then the script on the dog, and the circle in the middle with the face in it. So I hope you can see that. And then the read. From yesterday. All right, so this is the one on the table. Is it not the one on the table? Oh, I guess it's not the one on the table. What did I show you then? The one that I showed you must have been from, let me see what day that was. So today's Saturday, but that's right. Today's Saturday, right? So Thursday, this was taken picture of Sun. Maybe it was the day before, I don't know. So I'm going to show you, I thought I took a picture of the one on the table, but maybe I didn't. So anyway, this must be the first one, because this is not the one that's on the table. So this must be the one I just told you. So here's the picture. I think, yeah, this is the one that I just did for you. I gave you the wrong picture. It was from the last read. And then let me just take a picture of this one above it so you can see it better. All right, let's see if I can get this in here. And I also pulled some cards this morning, which you can see. I hope that came out okay. Okay. So this is the second read. Okay, same setup. Underlying energies on the left, 3 cards in the middle, and then the piles I had to count. on the right. I'm going to bring it up a little bit closer so you can see the cards a little bit better. Okay, and I pulled those Wild Unknown cards right before your read here today. And so the first two cards that came out there were the two up front there, which is the, this is the Truth Chakra, the black egg. And then here is the oyster, which has its feelers out. This is very much like the truth of the kings in their pods and the activation of the arcs, putting their feelers out. And then the next three cards were these over here, the deer one, the buffalo, and then this could be the third party, right, left out. The third party raccoon feeling depressed or hiding behind the buffalo, between the deer one and the buffalo energy. The buffalo in this deck is the most grounded energy of all the energies. And again, the underlying energy came up here as the snake, which is the Kundalini rising and coming full circle, and the collective awakening here from the top down. So looking top down as opposed to the crown egg in this deck is like being on the side to side. This is top down, looking at the world coming full circle, the 4D bridge coming full circle and being sealed, right? The Kundalini rising and being sealed at the crown. And below that is the energy of the bee, which again references another insect that may be guarding, but also the reference of the carpenter bee in Jesus. And that the panther is below him. So again, that energy of triggering the bee. And if you've noticed, the bees are out, because I've noticed a few bees around, which is interesting, right? Because it's really late in the season. But also the triggering the divine masculine to the collective awakening and sealing, to protect that he needs to wake up, to protect the sealing of the 4D bridge. So there was also yesterday morning, last night I slept very well, but the night before I didn't sleep at all again, and there was a lot of sexual energy coming up from like 5 a.m. to 8 a.m. And that's when I got up and I felt the deck shake, so the ground was moving. The sun was glowing over the ground. And then we had this read from yesterday. So again, that earthquake from Ethiopia was called the Afar Depression, AFAR Depression, having to do with both African and Arabian tectonic plates. So, because they used to be one land. So those two rivers probably weren't there before, but were created in the splitting of the two lands. So again, the fighting over things, the reason why they can't figure out who it belongs to, because they probably were one area or one kingdom altogether. Okay, so this one was The Journey of Love at 11:06, Metatron 11:07, Nature's Whispers 11:07 as well, and then 11:08 to the Shaman Dreams deck. And the piles that I had to count were 2, 2, 0, and 2. So I think that's the second time this week that the Nature's Whispers has no cards at the end. And they're getting lower in number. Where I used to get a lot of cards in the piles, they're only coming out a couple at a time. But here, Nature's Whispers, which is the most feminine of the decks, is not having extra cards anymore. And that comes up in the message as well as to why. So 2202, again, reflecting 2022, very significant, which I didn't actually notice yesterday. I looked up in Gematria and it says all the world a stage V, which is very interesting because capital A and capital V is an arteriovenous fistula, but it's also the reference of the masculine penis and the feminine vagina, because it's not just the upside down V, it's the A, which is the penis energy for me, and then the V of the vagina. So the stage is between the A and the V, the Adam and the Eve, so to speak, and that all the world is a stage between. And there's a mountain pass. So if you put A and V together, just give me 1 second. I want to see what the message is they're trying to get to me. So there's a mount. So they're showing me a mountain pass. So the A and the V pushed together is the mountain and the valley between the next mountain, but it's not the second mountain. So in the mountain with the valley right next to it, that leads to a mountain or no mountain, is a pass through the mountain. It's right in the middle of the mountain. And it's bringing up the pyramid too. The Giza pyramid. And this pass directly through the mountain. 2202 reflecting 2022. All the world A stage V, but both A and V are capitals. So we go into this read where the underlying energy is 11 at 11:10, which was the other day, right? It was the day before yesterday when I told you the sun started glowing. And yesterday the earth shook, basically. And then today, the sweet soul rising of number 20 is the wake-up call, the judgment. The 25 of the Knight of Wands with a slow burn and their passion at 11:11, so yesterday. And then the 39, which today is 11:12, this is the next day. So it literally took us from, I wrote down 11:10 and 11:11 on the line. That 10 was the sweet soul rising, 11 was the passion, and then today's the 12th, which is also my friend's down the street's birthday. The 30, and then she's Venezuelan, so Venezuela may be coming up again as well. Let me write that down. Okay, the 39 of the Knight of Cups and the clear endeavor of the 23 of the King of Wands and Fortune's wheel, and the wake-up call to the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups and the King of Wands. So again, it's coming up like the past 3 days. Oh, by the way, the 3 days and 3 nights. That was described in an earthquake, right, which was started from volcanic activity. But the earthquake was so powerful that it caused dusting for 3 days and 3 nights. So that's another reason why there could be darkness for 3 days and 3 nights, not just light coming in where you're feeling blinded by the light. So both ways it's coming in, the 3 days and 3 nights of light, the 3 days and 3 nights of dark. The Knight of Wands, the Knight of Cups, so there's your Knight's energy, but the last one is the King of Wands, it's not the Knight. So 2 Knights and something even bigger, the King. And they say with these earthquakes that are like 7 or 8 magnitude, it's not just about the original quake, because then they can have thousands of afterquakes that can actually be of more multitude or power than the original one. So the Knight of Wands and the Knight of Cups and the King of Wands. And this is not to put fear into you, right? We have earthquakes around the world every day. I'm getting like Teddy putting stuff around the house. There's an intention behind everything that happens in order to get things to the way they're supposed to be. And I'm seeing a shadow on the tree out front now that didn't catch my attention before. I'm trying to see what it looks like. It kind of looks like a heart, but it looks like a device as well. Let me write it down. Kind of looks like a heart shape, but on an angle. And then it goes into a tree that's a little bit curved. And it has like a hump on it. And then the top of the heart on the left goes up into the branch of the tree. So if I'm giving you a message as I'm telling you this, then that's your message. And there's another branch that goes up on the left. But it's not as big as the trunk. So that could be referencing any earthquake that might happen as well. So the whole picture is curved. It's more curved than I drew it, actually. Listen. So again, there's a trunk, and then a division of the trunk into 2 branches, but the right branch ends up coming back and feeding into the same left branch that the left branch continues into, and then that goes up and splits again. and they're all going to the left. So if you know what I'm talking about, they're all going towards the left. So if there's any, that can reference many things. It can reference the trees, it can reference the politics, it can reference the tectonic plates. So something starts. It may split off in two directions, but then the right comes back to the left and only goes left. So not to worry. That's what I'm getting. Today is the 12th. So 52 to 54 is the message. Okay. So the Knight of Wands, the Knight of Cups, and the King of Wands. To be inspired, and remember, inspire is to breathe in, to be love, and to master your passions. The sweet soul inspired by the winter blanketing with the King of Wands. But the King of Wands is hot. And the King of Wands is also KW, which is energy of the two U's, the twin flames. So in other words, we have to have a massive winter in order to counteract the heating up of the twins in the arcs. The 11-13, which is justice, and the 13 of the transition, the underlying energies of the 9, and that can reference the Confederation as well, ship at Jupiter, and the hermiting in the heart of God, the 43 of the 3 of Cups of coming together. The bride offers herself to the Knight of Pentacles swan, which came up in the meditation yesterday, and this was written yesterday, to be light as an angel and fall into synchronicities in heaven in your eyes, from the 4 to 7 sweet spot, or the heart to the crown, soft as a pearl. And yet the 37 King of Cups is the 3-7 of the 3 keys of the King of Cups, and the fire and the ice, as in Isis. And I'm getting Queen of Sheba there again. In her knowing. So again, the Sophia-ism, the wisdom. The 37 is the 3 keys, because 7 is a key. It's also a gamma ray. So the 3 rays. The 3 rays can also represent the 3rd ray. And what color is the 3rd ray? Let me see. Can't remember. So as opposed to the 6th ray of Mary Magdalene, the 3rd ray is So yeah, I thought it was the golden. All right, so it is the golden one. So 3rd ray is the ray of active intelligence and has a golden yellow color. It focuses on the practical. So again, the solar plexus is coming up there. The 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rays are sub-rays of the 3rd ray, and that's coming up from the 12rays.com. So again, this is saying that the 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rays are sub-rays of the 3rd, just like I told you, just the branches branching out. So 3rd ray is the ray of active intelligence. And then 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th rays branch out of the 3rd ray. So there's a reference to the chakra system here as well. So again, the blue ray, and this was coming up from alphaimaging.co.nz, the Ascended Masters and the ray colors. The blue ray is the ray of God's will and power, El Moria, Hercules, Melchizedek, Metatron, Moses. The yellow ray is the ray of wisdom, Hera, Jesus, Krishna, Kuthumi. The ray is both colors. The pink ray is the ray of unconditional love. Dorn, Ignacio, or Nacio, Kuan Yin, Ma'at, Mary Magdalene, and I guess it says Mother Mary after that. It's just the heading here. And the white ray is the ray of harmony through conflict. Inanna, bright white with silver thread. That's an interesting site. So check it out. They give you little color blocks for all of them. Again, it says alphaimaging.co.nz and Ascension with the Ascended Masters. So there's one that shows El Moria's blue is a little bit more purpley than the Metatron blue here. Moses comes up as more teal. And then more peacock is St. John the Baptist. It's very peacocky blues. Osiris is like a blue-green, dark green. And Melchizedek comes up as the darkest blue with red, like racer red, and then silver. Hercules comes up with a deeper silver that's more bluish, perhaps more platinumy. Osiris is that green. It's kind of like a hunter green or more bluish green or even winter green. And let's see what else. Jesus comes up as the gold, but not as dark gold as Hera or Krishna. And then Kuthumi, Lanto, Lao Tzu, they all come as gold. That one's really a bright yellowy gold. Okay, so that's just the golds because that's the ray that came up here, the ray of wisdom. Okay, and I was highlighting things with my yellow marker, which I don't usually do. So there's yellow is very significant here in the solar plexus. So again, Isis also coming up here. And again, fire and ice with the energy of the blue and gold, and then Jesus between of the gold. And again, the primary colors, yellow, red, and blue. The three keys. So we're saying the three keys is also, in addition to the yellow ray, it is the three colors, the primary colors of blue, red, and gold. Okay, so like the primary stations and the secondary colors and the offshoots, same are coming up with the chakra layers here and the rays. So God speaks with 33, the Christ vibration, in direct connect with the 19 of Shakti, which comes up as the feminine sun energy, the fire of the feminine, again, that Isis type of energy, or the feminine fire. The 23 of the King of Wands, and crossing the waters as she waits in the chaos and the vortex, right, half in the calm and half in the chaos, the sweetheart awakens to their direct connect to Source Creator, the sun and Shakti, mastering passions and emotions. Two cards then came up, the 62, which is the choice of the Empress, and abundance of the burning hero. So very again, the warrior S coming up here, and the prison planet, but I wrote prism by accident. So the prism planet of the crystals, and the prison planet of the deep sea scrolls. The prison and the Empress, which is the 62 and the 3, which equals 65, the King of Pentacles. And the S word of the sword of the crazy eights, because you notice that S, if you make it really long, is almost an 8. The 8 of the S and the sine wave. The S word of the crazy eights. His sword and word. Her rolling stone. Is stored a word? Because I wrote that by accident. His sword and word. Her rolling stone. Again, and tone dancing across the floor. And I want to look up real quick. Is stored a word? Let's see here. Not stored with an E in there, but without an E. S-T-O-R-D. So it comes up as stored with an I and an accent, and stordo. So let's see what they mean. It doesn't come up by itself. but STORED, with an I with an accent, is third person for a verb, which means to stun, to daze, definitely. All right. So the dazing effect here of his sword and word and her rolling stone and tone dancing across the floor. Remember, the rolling stone is the EM3W, the same shape that keeps rolling over in different positions, which when you put those four together, the EW and M and the 3, it becomes the present, the gift. And then you put the ash, or the AE, on top, becomes the bow. EM3W is EM3 to use. The EM, the journey of use. The one equal and congruent to two IMs, creating the 32U, or the journey of the Holy Grail. The hole at the Y in the road, of God's rail, the 0-point field. The sword is the key, is the protector of the rolling stone, which is the gift with the ash or bright light on top. The masculine being the protector, the key with the penis, that's the only key that fits into the feminine stone. Only the sword fits into the stone. The S word, the S tone, which also is the origin of one. The path of any, NE, the path of any, or which also means the Christ unity consciousness, the capital N. So at 1139 is the underlying energy of the Page of Cups and the 40. 40 was also associated with Enki. The Page of Cups of birthing the new. And the Emperor often comes up as this, as his inner child, that innocent, sweet child opposing the Emperor, right, which is the opposite of that. Birthing the new, the sword and the stone, the 30 of the silver union of man warrior, of light, and the Page of Cups home. In the 41 of the heart womb, reflecting the weeping willows of compassion, of calm passion, as above so below. The 39 of the Knight of Cups, the emerald heart, healing, with the 25 of the Knight of Wands, with a slow burn, with a love for life. And up, so the word up is very significant here, to uproot, 7 up, which is the key or the gamma ray, up. 7 is also the word 7, S-E-V-E-N, which is Eve, inside the S-N, which is the Christos Sophia. Uproot the 7 up, the 4 root stability to the heart 7. So again here, first the 7's coming up as the heart physically. The 4 is the energy of stability of the root. The 7 is the energy of the key of the heart. The gamma key, to uproot. And then the 4th chakra to the 7th chakra, 7 up. Man up, 7 up. Climb up and man the tree. Turnkey up. You can't get fed, and this came up from a show I watched yesterday, you can't get fed without opening your mouth. You can't light up the crown or the roof of your house without opening your home by turning the key upward. So uproot and then man up to 7 up and open up the door. At 1151, Justice and the King of Swords. That's to King of Swords Libra, perhaps. And the 52 of the Queen of Swords and her priorities of Big Bird. Transition of the chakra. Transition of the chakra system to God. So literally Big Bird is B of transition, and then IG of the chakra system to God. And then Bird is the transition of the I chakra system to the RD of road or path or journey. Lady Liberty, so LL, and BB. So is BB Netanyahu, or Beetle and Bella, or B&B? Or B-Tel, which is a hill or mound, and B-L-L-A, which is to cry or weep. To count, the tel is also to count thread, cord, or string, the strand of hair, the telegram wire, the fringe, the bang, the tie, the membrane, the film, the skin. However, nonetheless, and covet, second, like, one, telephone, and number, telephone number, and oil. The silver or golden thread, the tongue and the language, the 2 and soon. Those are all definitions for tell. Be tell, be weep, or be cry. Be one silver or gold thread, or two be crying. Enough said. At 11:59, literally the minute before midnight, right, when Cinderella and her coach turned back to a pumpkin. The Knight of Wands and the Queen of Swords here. The Knight of Wands with the slow burn and the Queen of Swords, she's the big bird with the building blocks. The spark, which is another Sophia-ism, the S park and arc and arcade, and the flying trapeze. The spark in the rainbow arc with wings, transition, and I wasn't even writing that like as the ark, because usually the ark has wings on it, the Ark of the Covenant. But here it came up without me even thinking of the Ark of the Covenant. The spark and the rainbow arc with wings. The transition through the air with the greatest of ease on the flying trapeze. The breath and the wings go up. So breathe and the wings go up. Expire, the wings go down. But you go up. Two roofs together in the octahedron, or the shape of 8 in the Crazy Eights dance. The Queen of Swords speaks, another Sophia-ism, to God, or receives their message and flies to the sun. The 42 of the Two of Cups go with the flow on the whispering bench, which is also the canoe, can, OE, which equals the can, this small island. And the can here is OE, not can. So OE, I just said canoe, where can and OE are separate words, but OE equals can, or prison, a small island, to see, a grandchild, or say hi, water woman today to hear and listen. The word can or maybe the can was just can. But the OE is all of the rest there. The can is also the cover for a fuel element in a nuclear reactor, which is what I got the prior message from, and also means to shut up, terminate, milk, dog, soul, spirit, being. This is all can. The creature, life, force, body. Vigor, I think, is that. How. The cock or hammer of a firearm. To sing, to be able to say. Sweetheart, liver, to be involved. Walking stick, which is another Sophism. To join, unite, to sew together. To trace merchandise. Bleached, white. Flour, and 100%. 100 is double zeros, right? Backing up the 1 of the connect, the 2 dots connecting, the original connection from source to human. To cover a nuclear reactor, or with small island as the cover, and again that was coming up as Plum Island, which I got a lot about Plum Island over the past few years. To terminate or shut up, woman or grandchild. To join today and be able to say hi, to see, hear, and listen. The whispering bench at 12:15, the hanging man and the shadow aspect. The bird takes off and the partner goes with the flow. The Knight of Wands and Queen of Swords then transition to the Two of Cups. With 2 cards here, the 16 of the gold, which is the ancient one, God's old. The sudden gold, to infinity and beyond, suddenly, hanging out, opening to a page, for sudden wisdom and or epiphany here. So I did look up, because I remember there was some kind of prediction of earthquakes in an astrological read. And so I looked up the same kind of thing yesterday. And the dates came up around April, when there's a conjunction of Jupiter and Rahu, R-A-H-U. So April 22nd, 23 to October 23 is that conjunction of Jupiter and Rahu, which they did say natural issues there, or calamities, I think they used that word. The eclipses are around the same point, so April 20th is the solar eclipse, May 5th is the lunar eclipse in April, and then in October is 10/14 and 10/28 of the solar and lunar eclipses. And I'm getting significance around October next year, the 14 and the 18 there, the 28. So at 11:39, which is, excuse me, that's the page I just did. At 12:19, since it said to open a book, I opened my great-grandfather's book. I was guided to that book called Let There Be Light by David Lubin. And I opened up to page 355, which is weird because where I wrote P, it looks like an 8 again. And it was titled More Authorities. Quote unquote, matter was made for spirit, body for mind. The mind, the spirit, is the end of this living organization of flesh and bones, of nerves and muscles, and the end of this vast system of sea and land and air and skies. Their unbound creation of sun and moon and stars and clouds and seasons was not ordained merely to feed and clothe the body, but first and supremely to awaken and nourish and expand the soul, to be the school of the intellect, the muse of thought and imagination, the field for the active powers, a revelation of the Creator and bond of social union. And there was this reference of remembering that, as I'm reading my great-grandfather, I am his DNA. So I want to read you the rest of that page. A bond of social union. And he's talking with my grandmother, Dorothy, says, why, that seems quite the same idea advocated by Ezra, Dorothy observed. I assented and continued from page 44. There's that energy of Hercules, right? Or the Atlas of the Feminine. Such a universe demands thought to be understood, and we are placed in it to think, to put forth the power within, to look beneath the surface of things, to look beyond particular facts and events to their causes and effects, to their reasons and ends, their mutual influences, their diversities and resemblances, their proportions and harmonies, and the general laws which bind them together. By such thought the mind rises to a dignity which humbly represents the greatness of the divine intellect. That is, it rises more and more to consistency of views, to broad general principles, to universal truths, to glimpses of the order and harmony and infinity of the divine system, and thus to a deep enlightened veneration of the infinite Father. Do not be startled, as if I were holding out an elevation of mind utterly to be despaired of, for all thinking which aims honestly and earnestly to see things as they are, to see them in their connections, and to bring the loose conflicting ideas of the mind into consistency and harmony. All such thinking, no matter what sphere, is an approach to the dignity of which I speak. And then they continue their conversation. This is even nearer to Ezra's doctrine than was the other quotation, said Dorothy. Yes, I replied, there seems to be an identity of idea. And then he resumes. Page 45. The truth is the light of the infinite mind, and the image of God in his creatures. Nothing endures but the truth. The dreams, fictions, theories which men would substitute for it soon die. And I'm going to leave it there. Okay, so that's what came up. So remember that you are your great-grandfather or great-grandmother, right? You are your relatives. You are their DNA. At 12:21 was the next line. The underlying energy as Dorothy contemplates in the present moment of freedom, and remember, my grandmother's Dorothy, but this is also taking us back to the Wizard of Oz. As Dorothy contemplates in the present moment of freedom for the cowardly lion, and their own freedom as well, and walking away and within with the wild rainbow hair, in the ocean breeze with hope and happiness, and the one of the divine masculine magic to make, and the wish to make a wish and blow. The 11 of making a decision of justice and go, so again there's that justice of 11 or the Libra energy, in the clear endeavor of the 39 King of Cups, to be love this winter, or wrap someone in their blanket of snows, another Sophia-ism of S and nows. Sophia nows, like isms, Aus and WS, which means to leave without, or the height of the pyramid, or the pyramid with a crack in it as a reference point to how to measure the pyramid and the distance to the top or the point. And there's the crack in the pyramid, which is again, the pass in the middle of the pyramid. Remember it said the A and the V it's not two mountains, but the V of the two mountains and the one mountain with a mountain pass in the middle of it, which is coming up as the pyramid here, with a crack in it, is actually a mountain pass through it. And again, referencing perhaps, I don't know, where another king is, or the Sophia. So it's coming up as a reference point. Sophia unknown without her reference point. So again, you can't have the feminine without the masculine and vice versa. At 1232, which is the hanging man in the journey, to be spontaneous, reach out and play. The 16 of suddenly inner truths, and the 6 of the lovers, healing root to flower the crown. With 0 cards in this deck, again I said that, nature's whispers. Doctor embodied, or the divine feminine embodied. It looked like doctor embodied, but that could have been on purpose. So again, you've received your doctorate of embodiment. So the feminine is done embodying her soul back to her own self. That 1236 of the hanging man and the 36 of the Atlas energy, and then the 37 in the underlying energy of the King of Cups and that unconditional love of the 3 keys. And again, the 3 colors of red, blue, and yellow. The magician's sword with confidence in his magic, and the horseman of the union, the herald of change. The triangle is the alchemist masculine. The divine masculine alchemist riding in, giddy up, there's the up again, laughing all the way with Santa Claus and the abominable snowman, snow monster. The 26, so again, Santa Claus and the abominable snow monsters coming up as the energy of, the bad children, the bad ETs and God, right, as Santa Claus. The children who were bad this Christmas, right, all of his children, the dark energies. The 26 of the Page of Wands, inspired to gather around in the power of community, with the Page of Cups and their think tank, a very innocent, pure one, at 1144, with a keyhole in their forehead. And what is forehead? Foreskin. So again, referencing back to the penis again. 1144, which is also referencing the divine feminine, since my soul number and life lesson number are 11 and 44, 38 and 44. With a keyhole, again, her third eye open in the keyhole in her forehead, also referencing the foreskin of the divine masculine. To come and sperm, the chromosomes, the DNA. And also, Aurora had just said this, that when you close your eyes and you see the little floaters, you're seeing sperm. So to come with sperm, chromosomes, DNA, the key that gets into the egg and the egg head. So we have the forehead and the egg head. The 64 of the 10 of Swords of the Woodwives, adaptable to the trunk, who needs space to get there. The 6 of the Lovers and the cosmic womb. The divine feminine is the cosmic womb that bursts the Om with the cosm of the inner child, the twin creations. Instead of oh my God, it's OMB, which B is also the 13, which is also the bod. Oh my bod instead of oh my God. Oh my body. Oh my transition. Oh my transition portal. The bi-portal of the twin flame quantum energy. The twin flame, the two-eyed needle here. The bi-portal of the twin flames. So instead of OMG, it's OMB. The 23 of the King of Wands, and it's coming up with the right stuff. Remember, the King of Wands is the K of the energy and the double U's. The twin flame energy is the KW with the right stuff. The magician's sword, again, the Sophism of the S and the word, the S word. And again, S word is shit or poop or what you transmute out that you no longer need. and the fortune's wheel of steel, another Sophism of teal, and the S word again of luck and right timing. So where the sword stone pace time and storm stars came up as deems, D-E-E-E-M-S, as the smallest reduction of those words, right? The final letter of each word, D-E-E-E-M-S. Now we have spark, speak, stick, snows, steel, and skies that came up here for a new message, which the deems here was KKK-SLS. But you know what? KKK isn't just the Ku Klux Klan. It's also an internet language and slang that means ha ha ha, or laughing all the way. SLS also represents Singapore, which we just talked about, the Singapore company leaving Burma and that ruby energy. It's Singapore Sign Language, SLS. So here's the laughing all the way in Singapore Sign Language, kind of like a message of Braille for twins in synchronicities. So those words, spark, speak, stick, snows, steel, and skies, reduced to park, peak, tick, nows, teal, and kais, which means scenic or good taste. Sesame, to cultivate, to grow or raise. So then it reduces to the ark and the war, which eek means. The ark war, ick and owls, to know the burden and make fire bait. And that's like a trigger, right? So that's ark, eek, ick, owls, eel, and eyes. And also then reduces to the two-letter words of RK, AK, CK, WS, L, and ES, which L and ES were coming up as Ellis Island, which is the masculine. So RK means arc, time or actually era, time and age, but I was just getting arc, and it is like arc, it's ARK. So arc, age, time, and era, and the AK is the egg, the turtle, the white, the to lie down. It means the letter I as well as EYE. It also means honest, clean, comfortable, south, and woman. The CK means candidate or a key. And the WS is to leave. Again, that was the definition we did before of to leave without or lack, or the pyramid with the crack in reference to its height. So again, the width. You can't have the reference to one without the other, the masculine and the feminine, the vertical and the horizontal. So again, the pyramid's height, and then the path through the pyramid from the valley. So from the through the valley in the shadow of darkness, which is no longer dark because now it's all lit up, comes the path through the middle of the pyramid in reference to its height. And again, that has to do with the 52 degrees and the 51, because the degrees is between 52 and 51, which is the King and Queen of Swords, right? The Lady Liberty and the King of Integrity. So that comes down as the time to lie down with candidate key, Ellis Island. Again, the KKK SLS is the Space Launch System, second level support system here. So there's that second level. So again, the capping of the pyramid, which Jen brought up in her meditation yesterday. So to bring the capstone back to the pyramid. And again, SLS being a space launch system or second level support. And again, the troops coming around to protect us, like the dogs in the army, the military. And in my meditation yesterday with the marriage and the pyramid, I was also seeing the first thing I saw was a military putting a blanket out in half. It was like strong, not really light pastels, but strong, bright pastels, like more middle colors, like a big blanket circle folded in half that a military guy was putting down first before we started the ceremony. And then they came back in afterwards as well. Space launch system of the KKK which is the ha ha ha. It's like saying ha ha ha. You're like, we caught you. You can't get away with this. The Space Launch System and second level support. And now I'm getting NASA because that's Florida and the King in the cavern below. And the second level support system, right? Because we have the vertical as the 1 and the horizontal as the 2, right? The sword and the stone. And the plus sign there as opposed to the cross. The ha ha ha, the Space Launch System. And then 17 was coming up because Jen's meditation was at 7:17 her time, which was 2:17 my time, and then I wrote this time right there at 1:17. So it was very significant, the 117 and the 717 at the 217 of the twins and their dreams coming true. And then I started back at 124, which is the divine masculine and the magician, and the 24 of the omega or the crown and the Queen of Wands, where the 38 is the Queen of Cups with the many masks of the authentic self. The King of Wands and the Queen of Cups, along with 27 and 17, which is the inspiring or breathing in of the 17 of the dreams, or the dream state, right? Deep breath to meditate, into a waking dream, inspired to dream, and then spire is another Sophia ism. S and then pyre, which means the stem or the point, the spear or to grow. So again, the stem of the trees trunks going off to the left, and then the mountain pass, and I'm seeing it going from right to left. The mountain pass through the pyramid. The stem, the point, the spear to grow. And then pyre is skin, leather, or getting tough skin, like stone, like a statue. The snow and the hail, the worst situation, right? They mash and the flee, hers, ear, and there. Where then ire is iron and the wrath to come. To go and the Irishman. So there the Irish are coming up. The good luck, the kindness, and then the RE of the blessings, the harvest, the play, and the sport. I'm sorry, they all came up with IRE. And then the RE, which is the reference to the point, which it brought up in the definition of the crack in the pyramid, which you can't have without the reference point of the crack, because it's such a big pyramid. The blessings, the harvest, the play, and sport, referencing the last letter, which is the E, the one equal congruent to the other, which also is the feminine, equal, the woman equal to the man. And then my name, Stain, is another Sophia-ism of S and Tain, which references, there's another reference there too for my twin, but the Ain and the Ain is the energy of one woman, AA, and always still I, as in the eye in your face, and even. So again, there's this reference of being equal again. The fish hook own, shackles and handcuffs came up there as well. Again, the cold woman or the axle for the wheel, right? The cold woman to the hot man, the axle for the wheel, with tin foil for a mirror. So again, I was getting the Tin Man there for a mirror. Again, we used to use the water for a mirror, and then they would use things like, foil or something like that. The tin foil for the mirror, and then 1-1, which is also I, Capitan, and then in, and then NN, which was coming up as a buzzing sound. Inima, I-N-I-M-A, with an accent over it, means heart and soul, and in together means this. So again, the energy was coming up as this and that. Heart and soul, this and that, as the masculine and feminine at 144, by the way, which again is the masculine energy of the magician and the 44 of Hercules, her harvest. At 148 is the heart home, going within, of compassion, which is the calm passion or the compass, and the eye of intent of the needle. The eye of the needle intention here, which directs the intent. again, the two-eyed needle of the twin flame quantum energy, that thorn in your side, which directs the intention or the toroidal field, where two cards then come up of the Divine Feminine, 18 and 49, of the Moon and satisfaction with themselves, and the eyes of the needle oracle, the eyes of the eagle oracle, rising alone and skywriting the fates. And that comes up in this card here of the hourglass on its side, which is the middle of the infinity symbol, where the two ends of the infinity symbol are the two halves of the moon, or the two halves are the masculine and feminine alone, and then the hourglass in between is the combination of them both. And then the K of energy, which is also one that's less than the other, and then again, because that's causing direction, right? And then the M is the two IMs with the V in the middle, which is creation, the two creating, and the capital F, which is the digamma, the twin rays, and then ending up at the two flags with a space between, which is literally the hourglass opening up with the space between the 2 points where the twins are combined and leaving space between, right? So even when they're as one, there's still space there. And again, space stime coming up, which is pacing the time. And we have the racing flags here. It has to do with setting the pace. And also the letters here are K of energy, and then MF, which is Monday through Friday, but also the masculine and feminine. And that's 5 days a week as opposed to 7 days a week. Right? Because everyone's always racing to get to the weekend. So it's coming up as the energy of the work week and racing to get to Saturday and Sunday, which is literally, Friday and Saturday are referencing Jupiter and Saturn. But Sunday is really the first day of the week. So it is argued that which day is actually the seventh day, right? The seventh day of God, referencing Saturday or Sunday. In the Jewish religion, the Saturday is the seventh day, and in Christianity, the Sunday is the seventh day. So they're saying, well, let's just deal in the 5 days a week, right? So you don't have to argue about that. Same thing as where the Ark of the Covenant is that Iraq or is it in Africa? So in my meditation yesterday for the marriage at the pyramid, I was seeing beautiful blues and greens, like the peacock blues and the softer greens. They were just beautiful together. And I saw the most beautiful peach in the world. I think I've saw it like I'd never seen it before because it was so beautiful. But I think I have experienced it before. It's just been a while. But this beautiful peach color coming up, a very soft peach. And again, the capstone and putting it back on Giza. Why was I saying Giza? Oh, that came up with gaze, the haze and the gaze. So Giza is on the Sinai Peninsula, and it's also, Giza is considered the ellipsis of Giza city. In ancient Greek, Giza is from the biblical Hebrew Aza, A-Z-A, which is referencing Ava, which is also coming up. So Giza and Giza. And then Palestine's coming up, so then Stein is coming up. I was getting Stein, though. That has to do with time. So S-T-I-N-E is also coming up as a Sophia-ism and Tyne. But A-Z-A. So we have the eastern shore of the Mediterranean Sea. And let's just see what Giza defines in the dictionary. So Giza, the word, references darkness. And this is on the west bank of the Nile River, or Egypt, right? So why was I saying Palestine and Gaza? So there's some kind of reference there to the other, which there's no mistakes. When I say things wrong, it's for a reason. And then Aza is a nitrogen atom. So there's that explosive energy that's substituted for a carbon atom with a ring, within a ring. A nitrogen atom substituted for a carbon atom within a ring. So again, there's that explosive energy of nuclear energy below an island. It also in Portuguese means wing or handle. So there the wing is coming up as well, Aza. The wingman. So it's coming up as Gaza being the wingman of Giza, because there's members in membership, the council society. So Gaza, the wingman of Giza. And again, Palestine and Egypt. And Aza, yeah, it's member and wing, so the wingman. And then Ava is also grandmother, but it also means kava. It also means hole or opening. This is wing, and then Ava is the hole or opening. Right, so the portal and the wingman. And Ava also means human, so not just the man, but man and the woman, both man and woman. And it means ancestor. Wing and members. Very interesting. So, and Ava is also water and the passage through the coral reef for boats. So she is the water, right? Aza or Giza, you know, the strip is coming up there, and the water up here, the land and the water. So Aza is the land and the wings, and Ava is the water and the whole. Ava is wing as well. They're both wings. And Ava's bee as well. And the wing. I'm getting water wings like for babies too. And then Ava's also the bee. All right, so let me know what you guys get from that. But that was coming up. So the energy of Giza and Gaza coming up. Palestine and Egypt. And the capstone being returned. Again, my third eye was really clear in that meditation. And again, another trick from Donna Eden in energy medicine is to put your finger in your belly button and one at between your eyebrows and push up, as in pushing your third eye open, but also your belly button pushed up at the same time is the way she ends her morning routine. And again, helping you to open your eye. So check out Donna Eden. She is on YouTube, so she'll give you actually lessons from the book that I show you all the time. My mom and dad came in when the marriage happened, and the chariot was there as well. There was a crowning for sure, and a blanket involved. It was really cool, because as soon as I got crowned, I immediately saw one of those Egyptian white wrapped crowns that with the long blanketing over me. But the crown was inset within this blanket crown. And that was like with a natural wood holder as the circle around the head, and then the white blanketing was coming up. And as soon as I got this blanketing with the crowning halo, Jen said, they are blanketing everyone, and my image came in before she said anything. We are being blanketed by the source beam right there. And then the rings were coming up as crown rings as well. And then again, she was bringing up the capstone of the pyramid and bringing the capstone back as the pyramid's coming up today as well. And again, the measure and the crack. So there's the path. There's some kind of path through the middle of the pyramid that's significant here. A pass-through. And again, the soldier with the blanketing that was folded in half in the beginning. And then they came back perhaps to gather the things to make sure everything goes well. There was also a terrier dog that kept popping up in there too. And there's definitely a connection to JP and the cedars during the meditation as well. And again, just as a reminder, your pet's putting things around strategically. Notice that they're doing that. And also the fault line stuff coming up. So there may be some earthquakes that are coming up. It's not to put you in fear, but to let you know there may be an earthquake somewhere, but you are not in danger. Or if you follow your intuition on that, depending on where you are. And yeah. So I was going back to listen to Michael's video again, Michael Sala's video today about the kings and the arks and that kind of stuff. So again, referencing the ant people, which I referenced to the ants. So connect your things with the things that are coming up. They said they had found about, I think it was 9 arks that they know about. And again, now we're seeing these kings, being found in reference to the arks. And with the tree of life that was found with the king in Florida are seeds that are being transplanted or were saved to bring back into our reality now. Not only seeds of plants and animals, but of human DNA, so sperm samples as well. And the king that's in the one in Florida is Mingish Zeta. And another really significant one in Iraq. But yeah, listen to Michael's video about it. And again, the weather changes, heating up in Brazil right now. And again, the reference to the Bermuda Triangle right now I'm getting a reflection to the winter triangle in the sky and the underground city in Bermuda, referencing the city in the sky of the triangle of Sirius, the winter triangle. And again, the ruby and the ruby slippers reference is significant here as well. And again, the 2 of the cards I pulled in the beginning, the 2 and the 3, right? The 3 of the triangles and the 2 of the twins. So they're both very significant here. And let's just I'm going to pull you a gem card. It's 2:03 on the clock, by the way. It was 27, which is that Metatron Rainbow Bridge. So the arcing of the 2 and the 3. Remember the 3 keys, which is the 3 colors. The 3 of the triangle and the points. And of course the key is the ray, the gamma ray. And again, the 3rd chakra, which is the solar plexus and communication and shining your light. Okay, we have titanium rainbow quartz. So again, bring up the rainbow bridge. Multifaceted, there are many layers and dimensions to the situation or person that you're asking about. A rainbow quartz of information there, and titanium. And jade, the wellness of the recovery of health and wellness is here. The recovery of health and wellness is here. And of course, there's very medical energies in the picture. Okay, so both the rainbow and the green and gold, which is the heart solar plexus connection here. A little bit of pink in the middle there too. That magenta high heart type of energy there as well. And then the moonstone comes up here, heightened intuition. Be extra aware of your inner knowingness. It is trustworthy. Okay. So like I said, check in with yourself. And the bottom of the deck is the Malachite, prosperity. There's a positive shift in your flow of divine support. So this happened already. So this was this like 1111 portal right here. And this positive shift of divine flow of support. So you might find extra protection just naturally coming into your world. And again, the military is doing that. This is coming up with the Emerald Order underneath that. Ceremonies and celebrations. It's time of important life passages such as weddings, birthdays, graduations, anniversary. This is past. This was coming in as an important milestone yesterday. And the Malachite of prosperity, a positive shift of flow of divine support, and Let There Be Light by Lubin. And then these are the 3 cards that came out for you and the colors. So again, referencing the rainbow, the heart, solar plexus connection, with the high heart magenta in there as well, and then the moonstone here of these softer energies of compassion and that higher love and heightened intuition and trust yourself of the higher self. Okay, I'm going to let that be it and speak your truth. Put your feelers out. Dear ones, very grounded. And again, those who are in energy who can't handle it are being protected right now. Okay, so remember your water, your rest, your joy, your nature, and most of all to follow your knowing and rise and be love. It was just 20626 of the Page of Wands, that Lion's Heart energy. Bye.